Hey everyone, welcome back. I am absolutely pumped to guide you through this explainer today, because we are breaking down the thrilling, completely chaotic, and just utterly fascinating 2026 World Cup round of 16. We've been crunching all the data, the match reports, and the tactical setups directly from our sources. And let me tell you, this expanded 48-team bracket, it has delivered pure, unadulterated drama. We're literally watching modern giants crumble, underdogs rewriting history, and some of the most intense tactical chess matches we have ever seen on the global stage.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Spain's teenage sensation Lamine Yamal hit the nail on the head when he simply declared, "The World Cup starts now." And you know what? He is absolutely right. The stakes have totally shifted. We have officially flipped the page to win or go home mode. Every single pass, every defensive block, every tactical sub, it all carries the weight of an entire nation now. To really understand the landscape of this round of 16, let's take a quick look at the current hierarchy. According to the Sports Illustrated Power Rankings, we've got the heavyweights up top: France, Spain, Brazil. These are nations absolutely stacked with Champions League winners and elite pedigrees, but they are contrasted perfectly against ultimate underdogs like Canada, Switzerland, and Egypt. The sheer beauty of this knockout stage is that these David versus Goliath matchups, they aren't just hypotheticals anymore. They're happening right now, out on the pitch.
Section 1. The knockouts begin.
A perfect example of this dynamic is the massive ideological collision we just witnessed between Canada and Morocco. Talk about a tactical clash. Canada brought Jesse Marsch's high-octane system to the international stage, utilizing a relentless vertical press. They logged a staggering 100 final third pressures in just the first half of their previous game. It's a maniacal tempo meant to force turnovers. But on the flip side, Morocco, under Mohamed Ouhabi, operates this highly sophisticated, possession-based 4-2-3-1 masterclass. Against the Netherlands, they completed a mind-boggling 801 passes. It was literally a battle of Canada's pure engine versus Morocco's calm passing geometry.
And, well, Morocco's technical maturity ultimately won out, securing a huge 3-0 victory over Canada. Despite Canada's intense pressing and that crazy partisan home field energy, Morocco just weathered the storm. They passed right through the pressure, exploiting massive transition spaces. We saw goals from Azzedine Ounahi in the 50th and 82nd minutes, followed by Soufiane Rahimi deep in stoppage time. It basically proved that elite ball retention can absolutely dismantle a high-pressing engine.
Section 2. Titans of the Tournament.
Now we're getting into one of the most compelling matchups of the round. France's terrifying offensive engine going right up against Paraguay's deeply organized low-block stability. France, managed by Didier Deschamps, has been operating at just an unprecedented level of efficiency. We're talking 13 goals across just 4 matches. But Paraguay? They literally just pulled off the tournament's biggest shock by eliminating 4-time champions Germany, completely relying on incredible defensive discipline. They sit deep, they squeeze the space, and they've conceded only a single goal in their last 2 matches.
But let's be real. Containing this level of French star power for a full 90 minutes is an absolute alpine climb. In a live update, Kylian Mbappe's clinical movement has currently broken the deadlock, giving France a 1-0 lead in the second half. Mbappe constantly forces backlines to overcommit, which frees up those wide areas. And it really only takes a fraction of an opening for a team with this much talent to punish a defensive setup, no matter how insanely organized it is.
Section 3. Cinderellas and Giant Killers.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the incredible historical context for the upcoming Brazil versus Norway clash. Get this, across 4 historical senior meetings, Brazil has 0 wins against Norway. 0! Norway actually has 2 wins alongside 2 draws, including that famous 1998 World Cup upset in Marseille. So Norway enters this highly anticipated tie with a massive mental edge, proving that sometimes even the Giants have a historical bogey team they just cannot seem to shake.
And speaking of underdogs achieving the impossible, you absolutely have to love this quote from Mexico's manager Javier Aguirre. After his squad finally broke their grueling 40-year knockout curse, he joked, "Right now, a whiskey, that's the only thing I'm missing today." It just perfectly captures the immense emotional relief of the giant killers. The pressure on these nations is astronomical, you guys. Surviving to the next round brings a physical and emotional release that is just incredible to witness.
Section 4. Tactical Masterclasses.
Take the Mexico versus England matchup, for instance.
This is going to be a brutal war of attrition. Mexico brings an airtight defensive block that hasn't conceded a single goal yet, and they combine that with the intimidating, oxygen-depleting 7,300-foot altitude of the Estadio Azteca. They want to drop deep and just let the altitude punish the English lungs. England, under Thomas Tuchel, has struggled a bit with fluid build-up play, so their massive tactical advantage here won't necessarily be their starting 11, but their elite bench. Tuchel is going to have to use fresh reinforcements very aggressively in the second half if he wants to counter that altitude fatigue against Mexico's unyielding defense.
And let's look at the dynamics for the USA versus Belgium match. Mauricio Pochettino has the USA operating as a hyper-aggressive, fast-starting pressing force, though they are missing their suspended top scorer, Fuller and Balogun. On the other side of the pitch, Belgium wants to suffocate teams with possession. They're averaging over 61%, but they have a massive vulnerability right now. They're carrying heavily tired legs from a grueling 120-minute shootout against Senegal, and their center-back line is slow and aging. The U.S. will absolutely look to exploit those tired Belgian legs in what promises to be a wildly open, end-to-end transition war.
But Belgium has a trump card, and it revolves around the number 6. The Red Devils have scored 6 goals in the tournament when Jeremy Doku is on the pitch, and absolutely 0 when he is on the bench. 0! He is their undisputed chaotic spark. His terrifying acceleration is just a constant nightmare for defenders. So, in an open transition war against the USA, Doku's minutes on the field will be the absolute most critical data point for us to watch.
Section 5. Fantasy Football Edge.
So the crucial point is, despite Norway's incredible historical record against Brazil that we just looked at, the odds makers definitely see things a bit differently. Brazil are favored at 5-6, with Norway trailing at 7-2. The data essentially suggests that Carlo Ancelotti's highly structured, balanced midfield setup for Brazil, where they use Casemiro as a true defensive pivot, is uniquely equipped to absorb Norway's physical, volatile directness. In short, the odds favor structure over historical chaos.
Now, if you are playing fantasy football, your absolute must-have assets for the knockout stages are glaringly clear. Erling Haaland and Harry Kane sit at the top with 5 goals each, followed closely by Vinicius Jr. with 4. These guys aren't just participating in the games, their individual brilliance is actively dictating their team's success. Norway builds their entire system around feeding Haaland, England relies heavily on Kane to unlock deep blocks, and Vinicius's explosive one-on-one dribbling, that is the literal engine of Brazil's attack. You simply cannot afford to ignore them in your fantasy drafts.
So we've looked at the vertical presses, the low blocks, the historical curses, and the elite goal scorers. This expanded bracket has truly given us everything we could have possibly hoped for. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative question. With underdogs surging with newfound belief and these intricate tactical chess matches unfolding in real time, who will actually survive the round of 16? The data gives us some great clues, but the magic of the World Cup is that absolutely anything can happen. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Enjoy the matches, and I will see you next time.